93 points to Michell Malcolm, and the guests today are from the Bahamas Democratic Movement, Cassius Stuart, from the Bahamas Constitution Party, Ali McIntosh, and we're going to try to get these other two gentlemen who have been waiting for a while to get in on the conversation to see if we can get them in. So, gentlemen, I'm going to need you to go ahead and unmute your microphones. Harold Roberts is also joining us on the show, and let's see if we can get Pastor Glenroy Bethel in. Pastor Bethel, let's see if you can get your mic unmuted, because I still see it muted, so I need you to work on that. So welcome to GPS. So Mr. Roberts, you've been listening in on this conversation thus far, and you also just recently joined forces with the Bahamas Constitution Party. You were the leader of the Bahamian Wealth Alliance, now joining forces with the, what is it? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
You said Freedom Wealth Alliance.
Freedom Wealth Alliance, okay. Freedom Wealth Alliance, okay. It seems that Mr. Roberts' video is stuck. Okay, we see it moving now. Freedom Wealth Alliance, now joining forces, having joined forces with the Bahamas Constitution Party. So you've been listening to this conversation thus far, Mr. Roberts, about the apparent lack of intent as it relates to the governing party and their accountability in terms of participating in debates and answering questions. What are your thoughts on all of this? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that puts it pretty much very succinctly. I see some others. I don't know. It seems that we have lost Pastor, so I don't see him on the call anymore. And Ali's camera has just dropped out. So as soon as she gets back on, we'll get her back in on the conversation. Now, here's what really disturbs me when it comes to this kind of thing. And this is one of the reasons why I had such an issue with Trump. Because as a member of the media, I think it is very, very dangerous when you see a leader who, number one, tries to discredit the media, where everything that the media says becomes fake news. So you are in the minds of your followers, you're convincing them to not believe anything that the media comes with. And this is dangerous. This is dangerous because what happens when you do that, we see Hitler was a perfect example. One of the first things that he did in his quest for power was to discredit the media. So when you discredit the media, now, because it is the role of the media to bring truth, to keep you honest. And so if you are successful in discrediting the media, then even when they come with truth, because you have done such a good job of discrediting them, that people do not believe the truth, and they believe whatever spin you are coming with. That is a very dangerous place to be in a democracy, because now you bordering on the line of dictatorship. And so I take grave exception to any entity that tries to in any way stifle the media. To me, that's a red flag. That's a red flag. And it seems that in many ways, Minister has taken, it's like he was worshiping whatever Trump do, he do. You know, and I have to question, why is this man so afraid to face the music when it comes to answering simple questions? I was in a chat group a couple of weeks ago, and a dear friend of mine who was a supporter of the party, of the Free National Movement, said something along the lines of, well, you know, this particular media house is a problem because they ask questions with the intentions of trying to trip this person up. And, you know, and I was like, okay, I have a problem with what you're saying, because questions are questions and truth is truth. So if you telling the truth, I don't care what the intention is of the person asking the question. All you gotta do is tell the truth.
Well, Michelle, remember now, this prime minister, red flag, is now crimson. Because the media from day one was being insulted by the prime minister. From day one. How many reporters have been insulted and talked down to condescendingly by this man? And so that is his modus of operandi. He doesn't feel like he has to answer your question. And if he doesn't want to answer your question, he calls you stupid or insults you. You know, you have to be able to protect the fourth estate in a democracy, because it's very, very important. And so what we need to do is, what they should do is they should, like I said earlier, they should begin to boycott him. I mean, I know it's almost end of his term, but they have to show him that, listen, if you disrespect us, we won't come to your press conferences any longer. And so for us moving forward, though, it speaks to the leadership type of people that we have. And this is why in the BDM we talked about leaders. We want leaders to come forward, because we have to put forth the best minds to be able to represent our country, so that when somebody puts a mic in your face, you have the answers. The question is, these guys don't have the answers, so they feel insulted because they don't have the answers. And for me, I have lived long enough to know that if I don't know, I will say I don't know. But to them, it's an insult if you don't know, and so they try to insult you. And so for me, though, I believe that this really speaks to the quality of leaders that we have in our country. When you've seen many of them over the last couple of months, even over social media, saying some very strange things, it begs to ask you, what type of people we putting out there to lead us? And so that is why I'm quite afraid of people who are vying for political office. And for me in the BDM, if you can't add value to the lives of people, then you don't need to run. Perhaps there's another role for you to play, but up front, we need the best minds out front. We need people who can articulate, who can add value to your life, but also who can also be a part of building this nation and fixing the social ills we talk about. One of the ills that I'm hoping that we help jump on is the health issue of this country. Because right now we are dying. We are dying as a people. Hypertension, diabetes, and cancer is killing us as a people.
Yeah.
And if we all die out, then we ain't have no need for the media. We ain't have no need for money, because ain't nobody could be here.
We have a caller on the line. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, welcome to GPS. Great, how are you?
JT, I was thinking about you yesterday. How are you? I haven't heard from you in a long time, man. Good to hear from you.
Hmm.
Yep. 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 Mm-hmm. Yes. 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 Okay. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you so much for calling, JT. Anybody want to respond to what JT had to say?
Well, one of the things that JT talked about is the fact that, and what this prime minister had, I think no prime minister ever in the history of the country has had to exercise the emergency powers like this prime minister. And these emergency powers remove him from being prime minister to king, because he doesn't have to answer nobody, and he can make edicts and he can make dictates without going to parliament, without raising any questions, and so these emergency powers elevated him to king. So he was basically our first king, and he loves those powers. And so the king doesn't answer to nobody. The king doesn't debate nobody. The king, you don't ever question the word of the king. And so that is why he's taking these postures, these stands, and these positions, because he is now feeling himself under these emergency powers that I could do whatever I want. I could say whatever I want. Nobody has to question me. And but I think good thing about our country, though, we have a constitution that says at the end of your term you have to go back to see if you will be king again. That's the good part.
Yeah, and go ahead, Ali. Yes, we can hear you. JT, yeah. I want to read a comment. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, within 365 days, he will be gone for sure. Yes. Mhm.
All right. I want to read a comment from a couple of our Facebook viewers. And I want y'all to respond to this one because one of the excuses that was given is that, well, you know, you should have a certain amount of seats or, you know, all that stuff about who should be allowed to debate. Clever says, I fully support debates, but you can't allow political wannabes just popping up and getting invited. What are your thoughts on that, lady and gentlemen?
Well, the FNMs are wannabes. The PLPs are wannabes. They all want to be either the representative, the members of parliament. So everybody is a wannabe in this case. Remember now, when the House is dissolved, there is no member of parliament. Everybody is a wannabe. And so if the man on the street wants to be the member of parliament for whatever constituency, our constitution affords that wannabe the opportunity to put himself forward. That's what democracy is all about. Just because you're walking in a suit doesn't necessarily make you more important than somebody else who doesn't have a suit. So that is the essence of democracy. And so don't try to discredit people who are putting themselves forward and wanted to say, okay, I want to express my interest. If you have nothing to offer, then that'll come out in the debate. If you have nothing to bring to the table, then that'll come out to the debate. But if you have something to bring, then let people hear it. Everybody is equal once the House is dissolved. Everyone, including the man who calls himself the Prime Minister. And so we got to understand, I don't think we have an appreciation for what our democracy is. And so you cannot discredit people and call them political wannabes, because there are people out there who are putting themselves forward who want to make change. But the people who seem to have all the answers are scared and hiding and always talking and sending something on Facebook. Why don't you all come forward and say you all want to make a difference? The country is made up of all of us, and all of us see the problems we face. So everybody should want change. Everybody should want the country to be better. Don't discredit the man who's stepping forward and putting themselves forward. Because for me, over the last 20 years, I've seen and I've heard many types of people who always got all the solutions, but they never once come out and say, I am here, I am willing to help. But they always got all to say behind the scenes. And so this is why we need people to step forward. We need leaders, the brightest minds, to come out. Because our country in the next 20 years requires the best minds, because in order for us to fix this $9.8 billion debt, this $2.4 billion trade deficit, this $300 million payment on our interest loan, we need new leaders. We need leaders who have what it takes and who have the educational standing to be able to fix the problem.
All right, I'm getting some feedback from somewhere, and I'm thinking it might be Ali. So Ali, please put on your headphones so that we're not getting that feedback again. All right, I muted your microphone because I think that's where the problem is coming.
Yeah, so that's my situation, my point on that. I mean, everybody has an opportunity to participate in a democracy. And don't knock the man who is deciding to come forward, whether he's a bomb or pauper or millionaire. If he decides to step forward, then allow him to display or represent or bring forward what he has to bring forward. And once he brings that forward, and if that's not what you want, then you don't have to buy it.
So here's another comment. We got Pastor finally figured out how to unmute his mic. Let's hear from you, Pastor Bethel. Great, how are you? Yes, please. Well, quite frankly, there's a lot of things that are happening that I, in my humble opinion, believe will affect his entire organization, but he doesn't seem to care. Because he is time and time again showing himself to be a one-man band in terms of the decisions that he makes and the impact that they will have, I believe, on persons running on the ticket. You know, the last election, and we all know this to be the case, a lot of people didn't necessarily vote for the Free National Movement, but they sure voted against Perry Christie. I'm not even going to say the Progressive Liberal Party, because a lot of people, there was just a lot of Christie fatigue. Whether or not you believe that that was justified, that's another conversation. But the fact is there was Christie fatigue, and it played a very significant role in the outcome of that election. I am told that many persons who were running on the PLP ticket were told, you're a good MP, but I can't vote for you because a vote for you is a vote for Christie, and we want Christie gone. Well, I dare say that we are going to face the same kind of scenario again, where because this man is making decisions for his benefit, apparently, for him to hold on to power, apparently, he don't seem to care about how it's going to impact the people on his ticket. And so I would not be surprised at the end of the day if we see the same thing happening in reverse, where people are saying a vote for you is a vote for Minnis, and we can't put Minnis back in here. Well, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's both ways now. What we're hearing on the ground is we don't want Minnis and we don't want Brave. It's we don't want the FNM nor the PLP.
Okay.
And people say it with extreme disgust. You know, I've been around for a long time in the political landscape, and you know, you hear people say that. But now when they say it with anger and they say it with bitterness. We don't want the FNM and we don't want the PLP. The question is, who? That's the question for me. Because there can be a party or a government worse than what we have now. And this is what I'm afraid of. For me, I want to make sure that we put forth the best leaders out there. Because I don't want to get rid of the ones we got now and put something worse there. We need to make sure that the people who represent us in both houses, whether it's the House of Assembly or the Senate, they can add value to the lives of the Bahamians. Everybody wants to run. Some of the people who are trying to run can't read and write. Should we vote for them? No. You see? And so for me, while everybody has the right to run, everybody is not qualified to govern the country. And we need to make sure that those who are putting themselves forward, the ones who you vote for, are those who are qualified to govern. Because we laugh when we see Miriam Emanuel make mistakes in Parliament. And everybody takes this as a big joke. The question is, she don't represent a constituency. She represents the whole Bahamas when she sits in Parliament. And that's an indictment on us as a society. So we need to make sure that our best and our brightest represent our government and our country, whether it's in the House or the Senate or the ambassadors. And that is why what the BDM believes, we're not just picking up anybody off the streets to run. I don't believe in that. I tell the Lord, if that's going to happen, I ain't interested. I need the best minds. I need people who can add value, who can, hold on, Ali, I'm finished. You can finish when I finish. We need the best minds to be able to lead this country. And that is the only way we can fix the problem, because we can elect a government that is worse than what we have seen.
Go ahead, Ali. Okay, we have a caller on the line. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, welcome to GPS. Mm-hmm.
Good afternoon, sir. That's a good question, caller, and that is one that I've been talking to. I had a friend call me at the Babaco, and he said, you know what, there's a lot of people on the ground trying to run, and they have absolutely nothing to show in their personal life. You know, how can you make the Bahamas better and you couldn't even make your own life better? How could you keep the country together and you can't keep your own families together? And so when you want to see a leader, you got to just look at his personal life. Because if a man can only lead you as far as he himself has gone, so if you ain't got nothing, how you can bring something to me? And so just look at the lives of everybody who is deciding to run. Look at where they are in their own personal life, and then you make the determination. And so if you really want to see a leader, like I said, just pull out the microscope. For me, I have a bachelor's, associate's, bachelor's, and master's degree in business administration. I graduated 3.95. I graduated top of my class. I graduated and I was inducted into Sigma Beta Delta Honor Society, among the top 2% in the United States in management. I've sat in the General Assembly on 2 occasions. I was a Goodwill Ambassador for 3 years, representing the Bahamas all over the world. And so for the last 20 years, I've been at the forefront of just about every major issue in the Bahamas, trying to build a better Bahamas and fighting for a better Bahamas. And so for me, my personal life speaks volumes about what I want to bring to the table. And so for me, I also want to make sure that, I mean, I'm an author as well, one of the best-selling books on how to start your own business, and you start. And so I want to take everything that I've learned over the last 50 years and be able to lend that to the Bahamas. How do you make Bahamians more successful in business and entrepreneurship? How do we be able to access trade in global markets? Right now I have a company that has 13 factories in China that manufacture products. I do trade in Colombia, all in the Central America. And so everything I've learned, I want to be able to lend to the country. And so I know we're short for time, but
and we have a caller on the line, actually, a couple of callers trying to come through. So let's go to the phone lines. Caller, welcome to GPS. Great, how are you? Mm-hmm. No, we're listening. Go ahead, make your point. Yeah. Thank you for calling.
Michelle, I think when you look at the Prime Minister making that statement, I think one of the biggest issues after this government is removed from power is we look at the money. We have to find out where all the money is gone. We have to do a forensic audit on this government to make sure.
Do you think that's why they scared to debate? You think that's why they scared to come and answer questions, because they think they're gonna find out something what they don't want you to find out?
There's a lot to find out. I'm sure there's a lot to find out, and so I'm not gonna cast any aspersions, but I'm gonna just raise a flag. We're gonna do an investigation in this government and find out exactly where all that money they borrow is gone, and who's been giving contracts. I need to know how much the Prime Minister spent to pave the streets in Westridge. Whilst people are still hungry. I need to know what is the amount of money you spent on paving roads when people don't have food to eat.
They say $2 million.
And so for me, you can't, I mean, while the streets needs to be paved, we could have, and I live in Westridge, we could have waited and allowed people to eat, because you cannot put people at disadvantage. There are so many people went to bed last night hungry.
They couldn't have waited, Cassius, because the people who owned the cement company needed to get
their money
their contract.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we have a call on the line. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, welcome to GPS. Hi.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Who am I speaking? Who is this?
His name is Miller.
It doesn't matter who I marry, but why do you say, but caller, you made a statement. No, you know what, can we have a discussion? We can have a discussion. You're an adult and I'm an adult. Why do you quantify I'm insulting? If I made my position clear. If you disagree with my position, just say you disagree with my position. But what did I say? Clarify what did I say, though? I mean,
and I need you to wrap this up,
because
Amos,
you're not making sense, Amos. Clarify what I say. You're not making sense. No, sir. Well, let me clarify what I said. I never said that. I said. All
right, thanks for calling, Amos.
Let me clarify what I said. Now, perhaps you misunderstood what I said. I said it is possible for us to elect a government worse than what we have now. This is why we need to make sure put people in place that can add value to the lives of Bahamians. Is there anything wrong with that, Michelle? In other words, I have a company. If I want my company to succeed, I got to find a CEO that can add value to the life of the company. If I hire a CEO and at the end of the term my company is in more debt than I started, then something is wrong. I got to fire that CEO.
Oh, man.
Everybody has a role to play in the Bahamas. But when you come talking about leadership, that's a different dispensation altogether.
Yeah.
The reason why we have problems because we keep putting people there who can add value. And I will go to my graves I'm making that statement.
All right, caller, just give us a second. Okay, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
I agree.
All right. Okay, Pastor. Okay. Okay, Pastor, I need you to wrap. Pastor, stick a pin in it because this caller's been holding on for over 2 minutes now. So let's go to the phone lines. Caller, welcome to GPS.
No. Well, let me clarify. Let me clarify. Well, I can do it a few more times.
Thank you, caller.
I can do it a few more times as well, because my position is this, right? It's not who you're going to vote. Who?
Yeah, but we also need to take a break. So tell you what.
Well, let me take a break.
Stick a pen. We 19 minutes past where we were supposed to take a break.
Okay, great.
So, so let's take this commercial break, and then when you come back, we're going to let Cassius answer, and then we're going to have Ali chime in as well. But we got to pay bills, y'all. We got to get our sponsors' ads in. So we're going to take this quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to continue the conversation. The topic today is ducking and dodging, and leaders avoid questions like the plague. We'll be back after this. We're supposed to take a break at 12 o'clock. It's 12:19.
Whose name is Ruth?
Huh?
Whose name is Ruth?
Calling. That's all I can say.
And then you can go out there and say, yeah, I ain't got to be